kept saying, we'll pay the bearer on demand. Even when our gold standard went away, they said, we'll pay to the bearer on demand $20 in legal money, which meant I could take this in and go get my silver. But today, when I pull this out of my gold pool, it still says Federal Reserve note. But it says nothing else on it. It doesn't say anything about will promise to pay the bearer, nothing. Now, my question then, and I want one great thing here that Ludwig von Mises said, that I just love, and that is, government, or the Federal Reserve, is the only body that can take a perfectly good piece of paper, put printing on it, and make it worthless. I think this is the question, and I think it's an important one. We have our governors and the Federal Reserve who sit there. Their job is to look at this, and this is not condemning them in personal nature, but asks us as an integrity question. Every accountant, every attorney, everyone in this room knows this is not a no. I think it's just another deceitful thing that has happened to us with why our governors of the board, governors of the Federal Reserve continue to call this a no. And how long do you think the average people are going to continue to accept this worthless piece of paper for their continued good production? When that blows up in their face and they don't, then what's going to happen to America?
I really was a little happier in the third phase of your four-phase of currency or Federal Reserve note issues, when people used to say to me, well, what does that, when it says we'll pay the bearer on demand, what's that going to pay in? I used to say, well, we'll give you some more Federal Reserve notes. And that's the very case. The very fact of the matter, that's all we undertake to do. The government undertakes to receive those Federal Reserve notes in payment of taxes. People do sell their services, their goods and services, for those Federal Reserve notes, and that's how you're able to go to the grocery store and use them, and any other place you might want to go and use them. And as far as the matter of confidence in the currency is concerned, sir, I think you're putting a great deal on the symbolism of a little bit of gold. That it may be behind the thing. In the last year, in the last 2 years, tens of billions of dollars have flowed to the United States from people elsewhere in the world who felt that this was a much better system than what they could have confidence in at home.
Well, one way to say something about how long will they accept it, they will accept it as long as it's legal tender and has behind it the coercive power of government. Leland? Leland?
I'd just like to say that's like padlock Zula. Padlock is to play a food down to the Zula and ring the bell. About the 10th time, the Zula was validated. About the 10th time, he wouldn't help the food. Just rang the bell. The Zula was still salivating. That's what you're doing with the
Legal tender is not salivation. Yes. Leland?
Both speakers seem to be in agreement that our monetary problems are partially related to the nature of the political system. Governor Parkey said that the politicians behave as long as the politicians behave the way that we want. I wonder if that's pretty true, though, if the public areas a chance to decide on the big issues such as the size of the government budget, the size of the deficit, the growth of the debt,
That's a very good question, and I don't have an answer to it. I think that the system, of course, has grown more and more complicated, and the issues that the public has to decide have grown harder and harder and more technical over time. You can hardly give a fair, objective statement of trade-offs to the public. There isn't agreement within the economics profession, for example, as to what a trade-off is. And therefore, one can't say, would you rather have more inflation or more unemployment? Or would you rather have, because people wouldn't agree that over the long run, more inflation is associated with more unemployment. And so I can't think of the way to state the big issues in terms that would be objective, on which there could be enough agreement to state them. And therefore, my view of the matter is that that if the people don't like the way things are going, what they ought to do is throw the rascals out.
Mr. Paul would like to comment on this.
Yes, I will. Is this microphone on?
Yes, it's on.
Yeah,
but
it's on.
Okay. I wanted to comment on this in general because, again, there is an area that we do have agreement, and I think it's important that we do find the areas that we do agree. And that is when Governor Partee says it's not only the politicians, it's what the political system is demanding and what the public wants. And I think that's why a group like this is so important, because what you're doing is you're changing perceptions. You did not exist. Groups like this did not exist 20 and 30 years ago. So therefore, maybe I will have my way someday, mainly because you're existing and that the public perceptions will change. And it is absolutely true the politician only reflects the public view. So I do think that's very, very important. And, but I think we're in a transition period now, which is critical to our nation. I would like to address very, very quickly about the interest rate. I think that we can go by past record and show that under gold standard interest rates were low. I don't think you have to have a collapse of the money system if you go to a gold standard. All you have to do is adjust your definition. If you had to use a government gold standard and not use the ounce, you could certainly define the dollar as 1/1500th of an ounce of gold rather than 1/400th, and all of a sudden you have an unbelievable amount of credit that would and currency that wouldn't cause a collapse.
Yes.
Governor Partee, I thought you made an excellent point a while ago when you said that they had a kind of competing currencies many years ago, and a lot of those bankers in the private sector counterfeit a lot of that money, and there's some real bad guys in the banks even today in the private sector, not sure. My question is, if Congressman Paul could show that those counterfeiters in the banking business perhaps then were pirates compared to the amount of money that the federal government counterfeited, would you concede to more inside?
I want to just I would just want to respond with an anecdote. I don't think that that the political process is tolerant to the anymore to the loss by the public of sizable amounts of their money or what they regard as their cash balances because of the abuse or the misperformance of the banking community. As one example of that, I've been seriously questioned over the last few weeks by one of the congressman's associates on the House Banking Committee as to whether we shouldn't require that all banks be insured by the FDIC, because there was a bank in his district that went down, and it turned out that it wasn't insured and it didn't have the money to pay its depositors. I really think there's very little sensitivity or appreciation on the part of the public to absorbing the kinds of losses that they used to take fairly normally as a result of collapse of banks and banking systems. So I just don't think there's an awful lot of percentage in it. Now, you're going to tell me that we've counterfeited a lot of money by printing a lot of Federal Reserve notes, and I don't disagree that we've printed a lot of Federal Reserve notes, but it's nothing compared to what the banking system left to its own devices might have done. We are basically trying to limit the growth in money and credit. And we do limit the growth in money and credit compared with what it would otherwise be. We are bothered once in a while by strong demanders like the U.S. government, but nevertheless, you know, we have even paid not much attention to their needs in the last few years, and that's why interest rates have been as high as they've been.
I'm very sorry, but we're going to have to stop. We have to be out of here at 5:30, and that is that.